like a marble in an empty jelly jar. Look, over here. Yes. Wow. These are high tech. This is like the McDonald's drive-thru. What's going on, y'all?
Would you like fries with that?
So loud.
What would you guys like to talk about?
You have to ask a stupid question.
I thought my let me smooch on Cliffy was pretty perfect.
Profound statement.
Who's got questions? Wait a minute, let me get this. Who's got questions? Okay, well, this is great. Thanks for coming out. Yes, sir.
What's up? How was it that y'all did such a good job? That we totally believe that you were Irishmen in the Boondock Saints? I mean,
I fucked up.
Oh, good.
It's because we are.
You know, that's the truth, Sean. A lot of people have come up to me and said, hey, is Flanery from Ireland? And the other stuff he does, like that other actor. And I always say, yeah, he's from Ireland.
They have no idea that I'm from dubious province. They have no idea. I'm like fucking Bayou, Louisiana. But I think that shit really well. Yes, ma'am.
Hey there. BDS3, anything you got to say?
Clifton.
Oh, what was the question?
Tell us about what's up with BDS3. How far is Troy going?
Oh, BDS3. Well, Troy's writing it right now. I actually, Troy, actually, yeah, I don't know if you know this. I got a cookbook coming out called 101 Ways to Cook Ramen Prison Style. And,
right?
And there's a moral, whatever story. So I say, hey, Troy, look, I've never done it in real time, but with the fellas in BDS2, we're going to prison. So how about we do like a cool ramen spread with a story? So he wrote me a full-blown story, and then I polished it so that, like, it's kind of like the opening of BDS3. I don't know if you know this. I'm in court talking to the judge, talking shit like always. Yeah, so Troy's working on it. It's almost done.
That's what we need to know.
It's going to be a lot like Iron Chef.
Has it already been picked up and stuff, or is he just still in the, I'm going to write it, and then we're going to shop it for 10 years like BDS2?
He doesn't need to shop it
because
because there's already a built-in fan base and there's no shopping. It's like, he's not starting from like ground one.
Right.
He's like, yeah.
That's cool. Hey, Rocco.
Do you know, I can't, because of the echo in here, I don't understand anything that anybody is saying.
And there's no distinction in
So
that from any other
if you ask me a question, I'm just going to say, you know, like I was born in Connecticut. And I live in Los Angeles.
What'd you
But
say, Rocco?
am I the only one here? Can you guys understand what we're saying?
Yes.
We can understand you, but James Marshers was just up there and said the same thing. That from that perspective, it's really hard. It's just all garbled.
Yeah.
Plus, it was that
The
missing
acoustics are never.
I was born in Connecticut. And I'm living in LA now. And I hope to pursue acting.
There's nobody else up here, so I'll just keep asking questions till they do. What are you doing these days? You working on anything else, the three of you? Sean, we loved you in, what was that thing where you were the killer? No, Dexter.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Sorry I didn't catch that fucker. That bitch stabbed me in the knee. What was up with that? Seriously, they're like, okay, and then you fall asleep and she stabs you. Whoa. You want me to fall asleep next to the fugitive that kills people? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna need a minute. Almost had it.
I've done it. I'm starting a film called 999 next week, actually here in Atlanta. So.
Where's it filming so we can go stalk?
Here in Atlanta. You don't have to go far.
Lobby of the Omni.
Yeah.
Hey, Rocco. Been doing any work lately?
I was born in Connecticut. I live in Los Angeles and I am pursuing acting. I'm serious. Is there something wrong? I have a buzzing in my ear now, too. Wow. What?
Why did you leave him on Twitter?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it broke down on me, and then they said that I have a month. They said just like reboot it or something. I don't know. And then like I had a month to get back on, and then I don't know what happened. You know, I smoke a lot of pot, and I'm gonna work on it though this month.
He was locked out, the truth is, for like a month, and he called me, he's like, dude, I can't remember my password. I'm like, try I was born in Connecticut.
See, he's making fun of me. I don't even know what he's saying when he's making fun of me. So I just gotta sit here and look stupid.
Who's next?
Well, we did love you on Rocco. Rocco, over here, honey. We did love talking with you on Twitter, so please get back on. You were like the late 90s, that was kind of cool.
Whoa.
Accolades, lots of them.
Okay.
They love you.
Who's next?
Hi guys, I'm over here.
How are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
Very good.
What is the best blooper from anything you've been in that you can share with us? All of you.
Clifton's team.
Oh, God. The problem with these questions is we've kind of been in the business for a little while, so it's like, there's just a whole, I probably have like a few hours of bloopers. I wish I could remember.
Well, pick your favorite that you can remember.
Let me think on that one. I bet you Sean's got a better memory than me.
Rock, what's the craziest blooper from making a movie? Outtake, things you would never divulge in public.
You know, I don't know. You know, there wasn't really many crazy ones.
Who are going? I was doing Crank 2. Can you guys hear me? I was doing Crank 2, and the directors, it's kind of been known for a while. You know, I kind of had a hard on for doing all my own stunts. I just, was fighting or whatever, I just like to do them. So, as you get older, you tend to like kind of shy away from that bullshit because you want to live longer. And these guys came down, both Brian and Mark came down to my trailer, and they were like, "Hey, good, we want to talk to you. This next scene, when Statham grabs you and throws you, you know, we want him to really throw you into the water. Like, well, you want me to?" He goes, "We know you like to do your own stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but I'm like getting older now. Like, come on, man, the fans are gonna love him. Like, I think the fans like me already." He's like, "I said, all right, fuck it. Okay, just to make you guys happy, I'll do it." So Statham there, he's excited. "Oh, I know you better do this. All right, let's go. So they're grabbing me by my belt, my pants, and this scene. I'm supposed to be like limp, like practically dead. I'm supposed to kind of fly up with my arms just like not moving at all, and just kind of letting my body just fall into this really shallow pond. So Jason and I there were both kind of nervous. We got like maybe one shot at this. So he goes, "Oh, man, so I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, and then throw." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, so we practice again. We're both a little nervous. We're like, "Fuck this up or something." And then Mark and Brian, they're getting ready to call action. And so they're sitting there and they go, "All right, ready? He goes, all right, we're gonna do this." And then the director, "We're gonna do this one." So, "All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. And I just jump up and he throws me and I go fucking flying in the air and it's like mid-air. I'm just like, oh, limp body. And I hear, "No. Nobody had called action. So the cameras weren't even rolling. And you know, I was like Bugs Bunny in the air. I just kind of wanted to freeze and like come back, but that wasn't going to happen, so I just went with it. So actually, if you watch the movie, I think the take that they used, I think we did it twice, and I think you'll see that I'm already wet. If you freeze frame it. Wait, I was soaking wet the second time. It was better than if I Link jumped in the car that was supposed to be parked and started it, drove off set. Wasn't supposed to drive it at all. There was a lot of mistakes. We had a great time. Yeah, I think she's in Hong Kong now.
Oh, okay, me now? My name is Haley. I've always been curious about the cat scene in the initial Boondocks. How did you even how was it brought out and how was it executed? I mean, I know the cat was executed, but how was the scene executed?
You're from fucking Pete, aren't you?
I was curious.
Sneak the cat assassination in with a question about casting. You know, it's funny. It was a really good script that me and Rita wanted badly. We campaigned for it, you know. And I know
Mind you, everybody in town wanted this, like Wahlberg, Norton, like all kinds of people. So just a testament to Sean and Norman.
Well, I mean, I think it's a testament to them passing.
He's being humble right now.
That's the truth. You know, a lot of big name guys passed on it, and you know, certainly, you know, me and Rita's knew our position in the industry, and we've never been marquee names except now. Rita's Elvis Presley, but back in the day, you know, we were blue collar working actors, you know, and I think they offered it to like Marky Mark, Patrick Swayze, even a number of guys, and you know, luckily enough, they passed on it, and then it came down to our level of thespian, and you know, we actually shot a screening test and everything. It was a special moment of casting that was not so reliant on an individual, but a chemistry, I think, you know. And me and Rita's been friends for a long time, so it didn't take a lot of acting to act like we hung out, because you know, it's kind of like, yo, they called and they'd be like, hey, you got the part. I'm like, dude, I think we got the part. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that. It was like, they're like, okay, now I'm gonna call Rita. So I'm like, no, it's okay. Hang on a second. It's kind of like that. But it's one of those scripts that you're very fortunate to have an opportunity to play.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You answered that right?
I just wanted to say that, you know, they said they passed on it and they went to them, according to Troy. They didn't pass on it, and Troy wanted Norm and Sean really bad. So, let's
Sean's a big fat liar.
Let's be honest, I think that's an ego thing. I don't think anybody ever wants to say somebody passed on something I wrote. But the truth is, there's a lot of big names that I'm very fortunate that they had something else to do, so I had an opportunity to do that. Yes, ma'am.
I was keeping this long hair for a pilot I had done a year ago, but I'm now no longer doing pilot. Now I'm doing 999, so now I can cut it. I can cut it like, I'll probably cut it, honestly, like probably Friday.
We're going through a hippie phase.
Yeah. But I personally, like going back to doing my own stunts, that whole ideology, I'm really big on keeping things as real as possible. I loathe wigs, I loathe fake beards and sideburns and mustaches. I need it to be real. And that's just how I like to do things. So if I have an opportunity, I feel like I don't have any tattoos, so for me personally, you know, our bodies are canvases, you know, so there's nothing worse than having covering tattoos, put up other tattoos, and then you gotta go to set like a half hour early or even earlier. So I've just been growing it out in hopes of like finding, I don't know, some.
It's always easier to cut than grow. So
Yeah.
in the off season,
Thank you.
it's always easier to just let the stuff grow, because you can slice it, but you can't grow it over. They wouldn't work with a short haircut, would they? They wouldn't, let's be honest.
Tight and high. Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they're different.
Yes, ma'am.
He's first, actually.
Hey, don't you ever correct me. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean. Always been a big fan of Suicide Kings.
Thank you.
Just wondering if you have any stories about working with Christopher Walken, if there were any pranks with the finger on set, anything like that.
Tell me you tap dance with Walken.
Tell me what?
You tap dance with Walken.
I can't even hear him. He's right next to me.
Oh, you tap dance with Walken.
You know what's funny is Walken's a regular guy. He really is. It's once you get past his bizarre placement of pauses and his interesting choice of cadence of speech. If you transcribe what he's saying nothing different than you and I are talking about. But this is an interesting little social experiment as far as, acting. One of my favorite quotes is, "It's better to be interesting than realistic." That's Walken. Because I can't tell you, on that guy's first audition, the casting directors must have been like, "This guy's fucking awful." Can you imagine somebody going up and he's playing a waiter, what would you like for supper? What would you like for supper? The casting director would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy? I don't believe him as a waiter." But I'll tell you, it's so fucking interesting and intriguing, And at the end of the day, it comes across as bizarre, but what he's saying is the same thing you and I are saying. And once you kind of get used to that, working with him every day, you realize, wow, he's one of the most normal people I know. But as spectators for the movie, they probably think, you guys probably all think whoa, crazy. Man, he couldn't be more normal. He's a ballroom dancer, been married for 28 years. He raps and he goes home. It's just a genuinely nice guy.
There's nothing normal about ballroom dancing.
Every day he wanted to go eat Chinese food. And this waiter at the Chinese food restaurant would always come up and he would say the same fucking thing. And Chris thought it was genius, so did I. He would come up and he'd go, "Spring roll for Mr. Walken!" He was saying spring roll for Mr. Walken, but he would yell it. We'd be like, "Yeah! Hi! Spring roll, Mr. Walken!" But yeah, brother, bring spring rolls for Mr. Walken. He was a good dude, man. He's a super special cat. Yes, ma'am.
With the addition of the back tattoos, how long are you guys in the chair for those?
With the addition of back tattoos?
Yeah, in the second movie.
It was a transfer, and then it was touched up with an illustrator. So, hand done a while. That was an additional 2.5 hours. But it looked great.
Oh, they look fabulous.
Yeah.
On their bellies with their asses in the air.
Yeah. Now, here's a little bit of trivia. Because I'm a dry-skinned Irish white boy, shit would last a month. Because Reedus is a greaseball, he had to get his shit done every day. He's an olive-skinned cat, you know what I mean? And his shit would fall off by the next day. I couldn't scrub my shit off. It was on there. Maybe that's why I don't have any tattoos, because anytime I get a transfer, shit stays on for a month. And I come to the point of realizing, damn, I really want it off now,
Thank you.
But those were pretty cool looking. They were pretty cool.
Yes. Circling back to the accents question, did it make you at all self-conscious working with Billy Connolly, who has an outrageous accent, and then you guys are using your put-on accents?
Not at all.
Connolly's
Well, he's Scottish. Yeah.
What's he like to work with?
It's killer. The best part about Billy Connolly, I'll tell you, man, this is a genuinely smart, quick-witted, lightning-fast cat that will sit Robin Williams the fuck down with his mental speed and prowess. I'll tell you that. And every one of his stories is legit. It's not made up. And they're genius. Every one of his stories is yeah, so the other day, Maggie called me on the phone, and he's talking about fucking Margaret Thatcher. And you're like, no shit. He's got stories about David Bowie. Mick Jagger called me and he said, Paul's having a day at a party. It's fucking McCartney. He's a super cool cat. One of the funniest cats I've ever met. The best part about Boondock was driving in the van with Billy Connolly to the set and listening to him. He's one of my favorite individuals. He and I would just sit in chairs and chat, and he told me all the good stories and play shit that I cannot repeat. You're welcome, Billy. And but super good guy, man. Super good guy. But back to the dialect, it's there's when people say, oh, wow, was it difficult filming this or that? It's fucking acting, man. I've had real jobs. They're not real jobs. If the biggest job I have is to learn a dialect, shame on me if I don't do it home. You know what I mean? It's all learnable. It is, you know. The only reason I speak like this is because I was born in the States, you know. If I was born anywhere else, I'd speak like that. So certainly I can go back and do my homework and learn it, you know.
Andy's a wordsmith.
Oh, wordsmith. Yes.
Makes sense.
I have the lexicon of a dynamic duo in one person.
Yes, sir.
About a week ago, I saw a picture from, it looked like it was from Troy Duffy working on a script for Boondocks 3. Is that, like, everything you read on the internet is true, or is that actually true?
It's all fake. No, he's almost done with it, bro. He put that out so the fans could read it and see it and tease them and get them excited. It's happening, so.
Yeah, it was. Is there going to be like another Rocco speech? Because that was like the best motivational speech I've ever heard in my life.
It's because it's true.
Yes, it is.
One of my favorite lines was cut out. You know, that whole montage, we wrote that on the day. No shit, we wrote that on the day. And everybody was coming up lines. And Rock can attest to this. Rock. Hello? Rock. Connecticut. But we made that up on the day. And Rock was coming up with lines. Rita's was smoking. I was coming up with lines. Yeah, I like that too. One of my favorite lines was cut out. And you know, all those like dude lines. It's you know, about Boondock. There's nothing, you know, chauvinism is not too PC. It's like, if it works, it goes in. One of my favorite lines that was cut out was, real men don't say they'll only put the tip in, and then only put the tip in! But every dude out there is like, yeah, actually, yeah. Yes, sir.
I saw a minute ago Rocco was messing with his phone. I didn't know if he was trying to get his Twitter back up.
Say it again.
What's that?
I saw him messing with his phone a minute ago. I didn't know if he was trying to get his Twitter back up since everybody brought up that he's the late night Twitter go-to guy.
That's because I just said his password. He's like...
In Boondock Saints, one of my favorite scenes was the execution of the cat. And I remember the part where the cannon went off and y'all went crazy. Looked like real life, like Rocco didn't know it was going to happen. Like he was really super surprised. Was that a part that you didn't know was going to happen? Or did that surprise you?
Like, just fucking with me, that's all.
You want the true story, man? So check it out. When you do movies, you get to play with all kinds of gadgets that are just really cool. And they had this air cannon. It was a big, long tube, diameter about 12 inches, right? Huge. And it was an air cannon. It shot anything you would stuff into it, 30 yards. And we were on the back deck in Toronto by what they call the beach, not a fucking beach, like fucking water, body water. And we were launching everything, sandwiches, chips, anything that was land, we were just launching it into the water. Because Duffy's like, Flanery, check it out. I was like, oh, man. So we went and started launching everything. We were wadding up t-shirts and launching the water. And this thing sounded like a 12-gauge shotgun going off. So on the day, we stuffed it full of spaghetti, dyed rags, and all kinds of things that were going to splatter against the wall. And Rocco goes, so, Sean, does it make any noise? And I was like, no, it doesn't make any noise.
That's
right. You gotta act like it's really loud. And he's like, okay, yeah. So on the day, no shit, me and Rita know that this thing's gonna. And on the day, boom, Rocco's a little bit of pee came out. We shot that one time, and no shit, Rocco. Afterwards, he's like, we gotta shoot that again because I lost it. We're like, no, Rocky, that's fucking perfect, man. What you saw was real, man. And when you see me and Rita's laughing in that, it's because we were fucking laughing. That's the truth, man. Yes, ma'am.
Hello again. It's okay if we don't have time now, but my friend was going to come with me, but she couldn't afford to come down because we're from North Carolina. Is there any way sometime today that you guys could call and like leave her a voicemail or something as the characters of Boondock Saints, like Connor and...
Yeah, we'll lock down a whole scene.
Really? Are you serious?
I brought my script. Pull some pages, some scenes. I got highlighters. Yeah.
Hmm? Who's next?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, it was fun. Yes, you. The story about meeting. Oh! Have you guys heard that story? Yeah, I'll tell you, man, from my perspective, it was horrific. It sounds funny, but it was scary as shit. I was shooting the Devil's Carnival. How many of you saw the Devil's Carnival? Thank you. You know, we're making a part 2, by the way. Me and Paul Sorvino in heaven, which is kind of cool. But we're shooting the Devil's Carnival. We shot this in Riverside, California. Odd little trinket of information is it's the crystal meth capital of the world. Who fucking knew? And so we shot it on a real carnival set. And there's these old, rickety Ferris wheels that are rusted out. And guys that are working them, they're literally like... It was just really freaky. Like guys that wouldn't answer you. You'd ask them 10 questions with 3 inches away from their nose, and they're not even looking at you, you know? And you know they're on some secret sauce. One day, we're at lunch. And there's what's called Video Village. And it's a little tent with all the laptops and the hard drives where they store all of the day's footage. You know what Video Village is. Rock, you know what Video Village is. One day, we're at lunch, and we're eating, I'm from fucking Texas, and I see all of these kids grab laptops and start sprinting. So, I fucking run after them, man. It's what you do. I've shot hours and hours of footage that are on these hard drives. I'm hauling ass down the street, and I look behind me, fucking no one's coming with me! These motherfuckers run into a house, on the door. Nobody answers. We call the cops come get down there, and they're like, well, you know, to search we need reasonable cause. I'm like, I fucking saw them go in! How much more reasonable is that shit? I fucking saw them! Finally, they call a judge. 2 hours later, they get like a warrant. They knock on the door. They go in. They look in the front foyer. Come out with nothing. I'm like, did you go to the back bedroom? They're in there a song. They search again. Another hour. Finally, they go around. And the kids had thrown the laptops over the back fence. So we got the laptops back, and they arrested like the whole house. Now, there was like 6-year-olds in there, like pounds of crystal meth and all kind of whack. It was just so bizarre. Arguably one of the stupidest things I've ever done in my life. Clearly, crackheads. But you know, hindsight beyond 2020. We wrapped in the morning. We were doing all night shoots, right? This was at 3 in the morning when this happened. We wrap. And I leave, and again, it's, you know, you're foggy, you've been up for 24 hours. I pull over at this liquor store, and I go in, and I get myself a payday and a Nestle Quick chocolate milk, and I'm standing in line, and I didn't really look. It was the first place that's open, and I look outside, there's bars on all the windows, and I was like, okay, this is probably not a cool place to have stopped. And I started looking around, and sure enough, there's like one of the carnies behind the register, like ringing people. I was like, whoa. And I can see this chick hustling. I walk in, and she's like, she's just looking, chewing on her lips, like, eyeballing me. And there's a big brother behind her in a NASCAR Tony Stewart jacket. And he's just, and she's whispering something, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, fuck, man. You know, I came to the wrong store. This is just not going to end good. And she's just eyeballing me, and there's a couple people in front of her. they're sketching me out, and she looks at me, and finally she looks at me, and I can see her, and I'm not gonna make eye contact. She's over here, and she's eyeballing. She's like, I'm sorry? Is I day glow? I'm trying to be very, very polite. And the guys behind me go, I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Is you dying how? For the kid of mine? I was like, the kid? Oh shit. Am I Darren Call from Criminal Minds? She's like, yeah, is you dying how for the kid of mine? Now, check it out. I did one fucking episode of Criminal Minds. It's been on for 170 years. I think they just had their milestone of 2,000 fucking episodes, right? One tiny little fucking thing I did. And I was like, yes, ma'am, I was Darren, and that was my character name, Darren Call from Criminal. And she's like, I knew you was! I was like, no shit. I was like, are you a big fan of Criminal Minds? I was like, oh, you just saw that too? No! My VCR broke! And I was taping the Criminal Minds, and now I can't get the tape out the VCR, and all I can play is the dead call for Criminal Minds! I was like, well, how, this was 3 years ago, right? Or VCR broke. I'm like, how long ago did it break? 6 years ago! I'm like, oh, you don't get TV or nothing? No, I'm not getting caught. Can we want to see the how long? We're like 200. I was like, oh, wow, that's the most bizarre fucking thing that ever happened. I paid for my payday and my Nestle Quick, and I got the fuck out of there. But everybody else that says I'm your number one fan, bull fucking shit. My baby, take off for the kid of mine! If you're out there, baby, if you got TV service by now, God bless you.
Well, we're on the subject of stories. You actually told one last year at the Ohio Comic Con that just freaking slayed me. And it was about you were young Indiana Jones and you got lost in the river or whatever. And I have told that story so many times, but I don't do it justice. And I didn't film it last time. I was hoping I could this time. So if you could wait until I sit down until you start. Could you do that? Will you do that?
Could I do what?
Will you wait until I sit down to start? Did you hear me?
You wanted for me to tell you about getting tossed in the river?
Yes, that one. Okay.
I'll give you the brief one. I'll give you the brief one because we're gonna go. We were filming the Tanner River. Young Indiana Jones was I got a passport to go and do that. I mean, I'm from Texas. I never left the country or anything like that. So, and when I say we were at coordinates, like we landed in Nairobi, we took Twin Otter aircraft, did a low altitude pass into the coordinates of the Congo to get the gazelles out of the way, landed. Then we took Toyota Land Cruiser another 3 hours from the Tanner River, took canoes from the Tanner all the way to the Indian Ocean for about another 3 hours, and lived in tents for 2 months. Sensory deprivation. The sun went down at 6 o'clock. The moon's the biggest thing I'd ever seen on the equator. And everybody says you get tropic. You know, you're right on the Tropic Cancer, you kind of lose your mind. True. Some of the shit that I wrote when I was on the Tropic Cancer, I look back at and I'm like, fucking wow, that shit would get me committed. And one day we're shooting on the Tanner River. We had a steamer, a period steamer. It's a 1918 steamer. And I'm on there with a bunch of Masai Mara that can't swim. And I got to meet him. There was a Mara. His name was Dai. And I taught him hacky sack and everything else. And they shared a number of wonderful things with me that I still possess to this day. Like Ethiopian crosses that, when you're 17, you have to go out and you have to kill a lion with a spear. And when you do that, you take your Ethiopian cross, which is your family crest. When you get blood, you brand your woman. And that's their marriage. And so I got 5 of those. And I traded 2 cassette tapes and about a month's worth of batteries and a Walkman. Jimi Hendrix smashed hits and Led Zeppelin remasters. And I'll tell you, one of the most magical things I've ever seen in my life, whenever they put the headphones on, and these guys live in coordinates, I can't stress that enough. They'd never seen TV, they'd never seen the white man before. And I really had a great time trading life information with these guys. The first time I put headphones on, it was like, you could see see the magic of the first time that there was music coming out of these little things that they put in their ear. I had a little laptop and I'd shoot things on video. And I shot a fire one night and showed them, and they didn't want to touch the screen because they thought it was hot. Magical things like that. And so we're all on the ship together, on the steamer. We kept making a U-turn in the Tana River. Now I'll tell you, every time we took canoes to go to the set, there's hippos, most territorial animal known to man. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm scared of sharks. Fuck it, a hippo will rip your fucking ass apart. I'll tell you, all of the mothers out there, you're afraid of these dudes, they're jacked and tan and swole with roids. No, be afraid of a fucking mother. You touch their kid, they will fucking unleash terror on your ass. A hippo has the capacity of a roided up dude, but the attitude of a protected mother. They will fuck you up. All you do, going down the Tana River, is these eyes looking at you as you're going, 2 eyes out of the water, staring at you. I knew they were big brothers with fucking Tony Stewart NASCAR jackets. And there was crocodiles on the banks everywhere. So we're shooting on the Tana River, which is about as wide as this auditorium, maybe 50 yards. We kept making a U-turn. The tide was going down. At the Tropic of Cancer, it's a very still water, so Bellhartzy is in the water. It's a microorganism that will get in your bloodstream and kill you pretty quickly. So we weren't to touch the water at all. So we're making U-turns, the tide's going down, and I could feel the hull touching the sandbar. And every time we turned, it would start to tilt, and then swing loose, and we'd make a U-turn. And I'm telling the guys, I'm like, guys, I think we're gonna capsize if we keep going. Sun's going down, we do it again. It's even more. It breaks loose when we make a U-turn. They're like, we need to get in the shot. I'm like, it's gonna go upside down, guys. We do it again. Sure enough, we do it again. It starts to go. I run up the side, grab the railing, and I run on the bottom of the boat as it flips over. Di is hanging onto the boat, petrified out of his life. I've never seen somebody hug for their life as much as a newborn to their mother. I'll skip the story about me going over him to save him, and then obviously I was a lifeguard as a kid, and it's funny how all that goes out the window whenever you're trying to help somebody and you realize that they're just trying to push you under to get their mouth up. But anyway, so the camera boat comes screaming by after Di's already on the top of the boat, and I'm drifting down with the tide. Camera boat goes, oh, and I'm like, God, they see me, because there's hippos, crocs everywhere looking at me. And sure enough, when it went upside down, all the crocs into the water. My balls were somewhere up in my neck searching for water. If I'd have answered something, it would sound like, help! I'm cruising down the water, and I'm like, thank God, the camera boat's coming. And they're coming, I'm like, God, they're gonna get here. Whoa, right fucking by me. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker! And they're going after the capsized ship, and I'm starting to drift down. Crocs are in the water, hips are starting to scuffle, scared fucking shitless. They get Di and everything, and finally somebody scouts me, and they turn around and they come and get me out of the water. They blood test, everything else. They probed me, they prodded me, stick things in every orifice to make sure that I wasn't going to die in 10 minutes. Not because they cared about me, because they were invested in shooting the episode. They didn't want to have to recast new interview footage. One of the most horrific things I've ever experienced in my life. But I'll tell you, that's one of the life experiences that taught me one of the most. It was a bonding experience for a lot of the guys that were on that boat. None of these guys knew how to swim. And I learned a lot about croc evasion and hippo attacks and whatnot. And I'll tell you, whenever I got into the boat, and it's a camera boat, it's literally a canoe. It's about 10 feet long, wide, with a tripod and 2 cameras facing both directions. When I got in and we're driving away, you hear clink, and it would go side, clink. What's that? And the guy's like, those are crocs that were hit. It was like they come into the water. I was like, oh my Lord. This was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life. And I guarantee you that I escaped death by a millimeter and a thread. I'll tell you, man, part of my hair goes up even recalling that story, because I didn't sleep well for a couple of nights. Scary. The double side scary, certainly that scary one sounds scary. We got time for a couple more, then we gotta go. Oh, we got one more. Quick one. Who's got it? Yes.
It was a heavy process, man. We did 2 weeks of rehearsal. Philip, rest in peace. We, when you invest in, as you know, Sean, when you invest in that kind of a role, you really get naked with your demons and you let them kind of dance together. So it's a crazy bond, you know. We have bonds
for Boondocks, which is on a whole nother level, but when you do something that's that dramatic, it's both rewarding and painful at the same time. I had a lot of breakdowns prepping. Real quick before I started shooting, Chris Cooper had asked me, we were having a dinner at the producer's house, and he was like, "Hey, Sonny, I wanted to ask you how you're doing with this role." And I'd stopped drinking and smoking for a while so I could get in touch with my bullshit. Chris was drinking a glass of wine, and I said, I was really embarrassed. They were talking to Chris Cooper, and I idolized him, and I said, honestly, Chris, I'm having quite a few breakdowns, bro. I was really kind of ashamed, truth told. And then he kind of looked down at his plate and fumbled with a little piece of lettuce and took a beat, and then he looked at me and he says, "Well, son," he goes, "this is the kind of role you're supposed to have breakdowns on." I said, "Cool, I think I'll have a drink now." That was it. So it was I miss him. It was a beautiful film. And
Guy's an amazing performance too. If you haven't seen him in Capote, check it out. Look it on Netflix. It's an amazing performance and a killer film. The guy cracked it out of the park on that. Seriously. Oh, of course, man. Listen, guys, we got to go. Let me just say this, and I think I speak for everybody out there. Connecticut. Guys, when you do film, there's no reciprocal current of energy. When you do theater, you tell a joke, people laugh. When you do something emotional, you get the feedback immediately. When you do film, you don't get that. So when you come to these events, this is our opportunity to really chat with you guys and see what you really thought about things that we did. We all understand that it's not real jobs. I've certainly had real jobs, and this is something that we do for free. Don't tell the producers what we would. And it's an honor, and it's very humbling to come into a room that's filled up with just people that want to talk about what you did, that you would have done for free anyway. I know that we're in the most expendable industry known to man. I know in an economic crisis, we're the first people to get unemployed. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I think I speak for everybody. It is an honor and a privilege. God bless. Take care.